All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Gavin Snyder, and I have my large index, or well, I guess they're not large. I couldn't find the large ones. So we had to end up doing small, regular size index cards. But it worked out. I made sure each student had enough, and they were able to write down their thoughts and answers on these. So we'll go ahead and get started here. I got my quotes from our Five to Thrive text that we have for the class, and we'll start off, and they're not in any order, so they kind of got mixed in the shuffle. But first one was sharing work well in the classroom can be difficult because even though risk-taking adolescents, natural fear for public speaking can stand in their way for them, sharing can stand in the way of them sharing on a regular basis. So I did have to kind of go through and talk about what some of these quotes were talking about. That way, some students were able to understand what I was looking for. But this student said, and I didn't have them put their names on it, but said, I don't like talking in front of people. I don't want to mess up and look bad. So that's uh that's actually kind of sad that we're reading that. But that's kind of going along with what this quote's talking about. They don't like being in front of, the whole class. They don't want to see they don't want everybody looking at them. They get nervous. Even the book talked about, they have anxiety and they get anxious and whatnot. So that's actually pretty spot on to what most of them are feeling. So it's important to make sure that they're welcomed in the classroom, and um, they know that they're not alone up there. So another one out of the pile. If learning is the purpose of the classroom, allow space for students to revise or resubmit assignments for a higher grade. That was from page 126. And this student said, I had a bad score on a paper, and they let me redo it one time. So actually in the text, what we're looking for there was, it's important to let students revise and resubmit. We actually just had a discussion in a previous class not too long ago about, whenever you have a large paper, you let students, turn in a rough draft and things like that. And, you're not grading that rough draft as hard as what you're going to grade that final paper. So students, whenever they turn in an assignment, we should have some leniency on, the work that they're turning in, because they might not have grasp the material as well as what we should have been teaching it to them. So sometimes it's not all their fault. We should be able to allow them to go back and revisit that maybe after we give them some further instruction. Next, what makes feedback effective is how much the student reads, understands, and ultimately learns from it. So this is one that I did have to explain a couple different times, talking about um, what feedback was and what we were talking about here. But this student said, I don't like when teachers write stuff on my work. It kind of makes me feel like I did bad. So I'm sure that not everything that that student has got has been terrible, and I doubt that his teachers are just absolutely degrading everything that he put in his work. But most of the time, whenever a student sees writing on top of their paper, it's usually not because they did a great job. If they did a good job, it might have an A and say good job or awesome or great work or something like that. But most of the time, that feedback at the top is look looked down at, and it's bad, and students worry about what was right at the top of that. So it's important to make sure that the feedback, it's constructive. It's not just it's not just criticism. We don't want them to think, well, I did bad on this, so I'm not even gonna worry about trying on it the next time. So we want to make sure that we're giving them instruction that they need to succeed better for the next time. um the more one reads, the more knowledge of words and language one acquires. The more one reads, the more fluent one reader becomes. And the student here said, reading is hard and I don't know the words a lot, but we have to do it sometimes. Well, I'm not sure who that was, but we got to do it more than sometimes, unfortunately for you. But, um, the main goal here was, we want them to realize that the more you read, the better of a reader you become. So, reading's not going anywhere. This is something that they're going to continue doing. They're in sixth grade now, so they have still a good ways to go in their academic career in high school, and then further on if they want to pursue a higher degree or higher level of learning. So even if they don't, in the world, and there's always reading. So we want them to know that the more fluent they become, the better it's going to be, and the easier the easier it will be for them. So learning and reading, it's something that they need to understand. That's emphasis in the world. This next one from page 147. Um, there's no hard cap exists on memories that can be created or skills that can be gained. So, the talking about the mind, it's you can pack in as much learning as you want into your mind. The brain doesn't have a cap on, okay, well, I've learned too much. You need to move some stuff out, or you can't retain any more information. But this student said, we learn lots of stuff, but it's hard to remember everything for tests. Um, I get my problem with this answer is, well, I don't have a problem with it, but what I want to change about it is, he says we can't remember, or she says we can't remember everything for the test. Well, that's kind of something I'd like to get away from as an educator. I don't want students learning and memorizing information just for a test. Because I want students to be able to critical think and analyze questions, and get the true value and true meaning out of what we're doing. Not just so that they can get an A on a test or do good at the end of the year, and move on to the next grade. I don't want that. I want them to take this serious and learn skills and everything that they need for life and for the next grade and everything and so on, not just worrying about what they're going to get on a test. Next, what we want is for students to engage in the work of literacy willingly, not just because we've asked them to do it. That's from page 66. And I I think I know this student. So he said, I don't like reading. Books are boring and dumb. So the lesson in that one is that some students aren't going to take everything serious, I guess. But no, in all honesty, that's kind of a good learning point here, because we're not going to be able to reach every student. That one, he or she, I'm not 100% sure who it is. I have an idea, but they didn't take this all that serious. Which it's unfortunate. For me and for them, it's good learning experience for both of us. But I guess what I was kind of looking for, or something that I expected for that answer, is talking about maybe they could dive into what interests them for reading. We don't want them, hey, read this chapter because we tell them to. I doubt they're probably going to take their textbook home and just read their textbook, since we're in a social studies classroom. But maybe in the ELA room or something like that, they find a book that interests them and they want to read it because they think that it has value or it's important. So that's kind of something I was looking for there, but I didn't think I get. I don't think I'm going to get that out of that answer. Um, Next one from page 25 is feedback in the classroom can generally be compared to a river where a response flows downstream from teacher to student. So I think most of them got this one here. Um, Student here said, I like when you guys tell me good job on stuff I do. So I kind of got the idea there, what I was looking for. I think, what I can pull from their answer on that one is, you know, whenever students or whenever teachers put some feedback on their papers and tell them, good job and things like that, it makes them feel good. Not seeing the big red ink at the top of the page, which we've been told to never use the red ink because it's evil for students. But whenever they see something like that on top of their page, that's good feedback. And as an educator and as a future educator, I want to be able to provide positive feedback, something that they can look at on top of the page, and they can gain something from it. They can be like, oh, okay, well, I see what they're talking about here. And then, if there's a meeting or something that I need to have with a student, I can meet with him, because some things, you can discuss further and need a better understanding rather than just writing it on top of their paper. And then last one I have here is by having a place in class for students to plug in their own interest, choice can cultivate a sense in students that the work they are doing has value. So I was on page 156. I had to kind of break that down, talking about, how the students putting in what they want to do, what their interests are, and how if we make assignments and correlate stuff with that, then they'll have more value in the work and more faith in it. The student said, I like being able to pick the stuff we do. It makes it funner. I have to talk to the English teacher about the grammar on that one. But that's kind of the direction I wanted them to head towards there, talking about, whenever they're able to pick something that, they can do, it interests them. They're having fun with it. Kind of like in our class here, obviously, and then some of your other previous classes, we have freedom to create projects and work with others and do a lot of cool things. It's not traditional in the form of, hey, here's a homework assignment. Get it done, turned in by the end of the week. So it's more glamorous, it's a little more fun, and I think it gets you thinking a lot more. So whenever we can get students to buy in and give us some of their interest and have some value in the class, they find more value and they have more fun on the work. And most of the time, they'll end up having a better sense of the material and mastering it better. So overall, the index cards, I felt I looked through them all, and this is my first time reading them, so I'll have to go back through. And it's kind of funny, after being with these students here for a little while, I can kind of gauge what answers they are, plus their handwriting. I probably couldn't do this a while back because the handwriting. I had no idea how to read some of them, but it's gotten better. And I enjoy hearing some feedback and their thoughts on it. I think it's interesting to see, what they think about it and how they take from it, and kind of what I was looking for and what I wanted them to get from it. So overall, I thought it was a pretty good experience.